Alright you guys, today's video is about none other than Ed Gein. I'm sure you've seen or heard of the movie Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just a couple of the cult classics that we are still crazy about today. Ed Gein was the inspiration for both of these films, and that is because his story is not only shocking, but it's somewhat fascinating in a very morbid and unsettling way. As depicted in the film Psycho, Ed Gein had a very unusual relationship with his mother from the time he was 12. This led to quite an unhealthy obsession and infatuation, if you will. So after her passing, Ed didn't know how to live without her. Because his obsession with his own mother was so great, he was willing to do anything in his power to bring her back to life. Ed was born in 1906 in La Crosse, Wisconsin, a very rural, small community where everybody knew each other. Like most of these infamous criminals, Ed was very well liked in his community. It got a little chilly, I had to throw on a jacket real quick. Ed's childhood wasn't necessarily easy. His father was a pretty bad alcoholic, and his mother was verbally abusive towards him. Despite the abuse that he faced at the hands of his mother, he did idolize her. Ed had an older brother named Henry. Henry recognized this abuse was happening and would confront their mother about it on occasion. And under mysterious circumstances, Henry passed away in 1944 in a fire. This took place near their family's farm, and I'm going to emphasize he passed away under mysterious circumstances. In 1945, Ed's mother, Augusta, passed away. After her passing, Ed felt very alone and he became a hermit. Ed cordoned most of the areas of the house that his mother used most frequently, and he made them into somewhat of a shrine. In 1957, a hardware store owner named Bernice Warden mysteriously went missing. Bernice was also very well liked in the community. The locals loved Bernice. Not only was she a successful business owner as a woman in the 1950s, but she was like a mother figure to a lot of people. Bernice's son had noticed that Ed seemed to develop some sort of obsession with his mother when he started visiting the hardware store more and more frequently. So when Bernice went missing, her son had told the police that this man named Ed Gein would come in quite frequently, and his behavior was getting stranger and stranger. They visited Ed's farm. What they found ended up being so disturbing that they referred to Ed's farmhouse as the House of Horrors. Little did the police know that not only was Bernice Ed's victim, she was just one of many of his victims. Police had found Bernice's body hung upside down. Her torso had been dressed out like that of a deer's. Aside from this extremely shocking scene, the police found even more. They found multiple body parts and the head of another one of his victims named Mary Hogan. Unbeknownst to anyone in the town, Ed had been robbing graves of female corpses, collecting body parts over time in order to make them into household items, like lampshades, chairs, silverware, and even a bodysuit made from human skin. There were also lampshades made from human faces. Ed later admitted to the police that the purpose behind making the skin suit was to recreate his deceased mother. There were over 40 bodies found in Ed's home, and he had claimed to have robbed these bodies from their graves. Ed was deemed unfit to withstand trial and spent the rest of his life in a psychiatric hospital, where he later died in 1984 at the age of 77.